Hello, and welcome to the debrief. I am Sergio, your handler, and with me is Mayday Roleplay. We are so excited to be here discussing with you guys the first arc of our Delta Green campaign titled Doomed to Repeat. We'll talk about how we got started as a group. You'll get to know the agents better, and we'll have a very special section on how to shear sheep. So there's a lot to cover. There are 11 episodes in the span of this first arc. So in this episode, we're going to discuss everything up until the start of Reverberations, our historical scenario. So that's episodes 0 to 3-ish. If you haven't listened yet, you may want to step out because there are going to be spoilers abound, and really none of what we're going to talk about is going to make any sense to you. But if you've not heard the episodes, you are in luck because they are available to listen on any platform that you listen to podcasts. So listen to it, then you can come back, and then you can hear all the juicy details. So we've collected questions submitted from folks on Instagram, Twitter, our Patreon Discord, and we've come up with a few ourselves to ask each other. If you asked a question and it doesn't come up, sorry, I nearly had it. I nearly got to the end.
No, you got it. It's okay.
Yeah. If you asked a question and it doesn't come up, it's probably being saved for another episode. We'll also be looking out for questions from you during this stream. So if you think of a good one while watching, drop it in the chat and we'll answer it probably on the next episode.
We should mention that this is not live.
Yes, this is not live.
We're figuring our shit out.
Or is it? Who knows?
Don't listen to Caleb.
We're probably all in the chat right now.
That's true.
Oh, we're totally spying.
So I think that's everything I need to go over. I think what we should do is pass it off to Caleb, also known as Agent Merritt, for our first couple of questions.
Absolutely. I just first wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who's been listening at home and for this experience so far. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better first few months doing this. The first question that we're going to have tonight, guys, comes from Instagram. It's from Megan, and it's a pretty simple one that I thought we could take a dive into and answer in depth. It's, where did the name Mayday Roleplay come from? I mean, I think we can all speak that it came from some shared, I don't know. I don't know if you'd call it shared trauma or shared experience, whatever it is.
I would.
But, we were a part of a project that fell through, unfortunately, that was looking to do a lot of what we're doing here, which is, actual play content that tried to have a message, tried to be as cinematic as possible, and tried to accomplish a lot. Unfortunately, that fell through, but we found that in the pieces there, I mean, all of us gelled really well together. We all wanted the same things, and we all had the same belief over what had happened in the situation, and so we all came together. And the old project was called SOS, which is a common emergency call and everything like that. So we just pivoted. We had a name vote, a long series of votes on names that we'll probably dive into in a second here. And
so many names.
Eventually we thought, well, we'll just spin it on its head and go with that same idea of helping people and saving the day. And, instead of SOS, we went with Mayday.
I also feel like it doesn't help that we're like the most chaotic group of motherfuckers there are, and so it's like, okay, we need help. We need help from ourselves now, please.
Oh yeah, definitely dual purpose. It's never quite sure who needs the help.
Wait, we need help from ourselves though, which implies that we're just in like this constant downward spiral.
Well,
correct.
yes,
That's very correct.
And that's usually when you're yelling Mayday, Mayday.
Yeah. That's what it is. We're piloting a crashing plane.
That's spoilers for a future debrief.
Oh, there you go.
I'll hold this spoiler.
Thank you for that.
But I thought it might be fun for all of us to take a look at this old, shitty Excel sheet that we put together.
What are some of the highlights?
July. This was
One
like
of the highlights is right here. Second option we ever came up with is, look at us, we're role playing.
That was not me.
That was
Caleb. Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
Caleb.
I think. I don't know,
I
actually.
think it was Zach. I'm
Yeah.
almost positive it was Zach. We were spitballing. We were trying to get him out.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moderate
we got another-
roleplay. That's a good one.
Moderate.
Moderate roleplay.
It's a safe spot.
To the point.
Just a lie. It's just a lie.
I feel like there's some other ones there that like
Web Friends. Web Friends is my favorite.
Web Friends
Great. Yeah.
almost won, didn't it? Didn't
Oh,
Web
it
Friends
did
Web Friends
almost.
was like this close.
I mean, that
Friends was
was
up there.
that was at the time when we'd all met
top
in person
three.
once.
And
We
the
haven't all
funny
met in
thing is,
person at once ever, Aaron.
yeah. I mean, Web Friends came from a joke off of Webkins because we put up here that a possibility was Neopets 2, the podcast,
Yes.
which
Oh,
fantastic.
another good
so
one.
don't remember this
Wiz
stuff.
with a Z because Diana Ross deserves it.
Thank you.
That one was
Low Wiz,
Wait.
yeah.
Wait, that was the whole name?
Low Wiz
Yep,
was
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wiz with a Z because Diana Ross deserves it. I'm.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah.
I feel like we
And
just
we
made a.
use.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I
Yeah,
just
you're
feel like
good.
we made a like terrible names just so that we could
was gonna
just
say,
put
I feel like
Mayday
there's a
forward
whole-
as the
we
name.
did.
I really do
So
think that
true.
We all
Yeah.
collectively agreed, but we didn't want to say it.
No.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Equally
Yeah.
bad names up.
I think we could meditate on like the conceptual strength of Jeff as a podcast.
Yes,
that could have been
a
some
whole entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
like
we are all gay in capital letters. That was great.
That was another
Some of
really
us
good
were
one.
against that one.
Yeah, this was literally
We're
just
not,
us circling
but
the
it's
drain
fine.
until we finally landed on it.
Yeah.
Because we came up with Mayday first, right? Shortly after,
Yeah.
right?
I felt like
We
that
need to
one was you.
brainstorm.
It was funny because when we took this vote, we had already named the Google Drive Mayday Roleplay. So we were already
It was
sort of
done.
unnecessary.
Classic,
Like, was it
classic
wasn't
tabletop
that-
overthinking.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
also
yeah.
the day that we sat down for like 4 hours and just
Yes.
took care of like all the trademark shit?
Yeah,
and-
that was the day we.
That was the same day that we paid to be friends. Absolutely.
I think we were a little punchy at
Yes,
that
we
point.
did.
There's also We Are Not a Funny Group.
We were,
Another great
Well,
one.
that's true.
I don't remember them being this bad. I remember them being a little bit better.
They're bad.
No.
They're
You
very
you know what?
bad.
There were some
Three
good
good
ones.
ones, and everything else was shit.
At the
Low
time.
Wisdom is a great one. I thought Low Wisdom was right up there, and Hope Throws is.
I'm
yeah.
still
I-
I'm still an advocate for Hope Thoughts.
I was gonna say spinoff.
Hope that's yeah.
Thank you.
We also had extemporaneous contingency. I'm just a fan of how complex that is unnecessarily.
See, that's
I don't even think I could say that.
No one.
I don't. The thing is, I think we liked that one for a period. I remember being
We did.
shocked that we were about that one. It's like, holy shit! There's no way anybody's gonna listen to this shit. They can't say it.
This is a result of thesaurus.com deep diving, and I can't remember what the original words were. But that's how we got there.
It was. Oh, I think it was improv group. I think you literally typed in improv group into a thesaurus, and we got extemporaneous contingency.
And didn't they also try to like use all of the letters of our names in some way?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That was
Too many
a
A's
hot
and
mess.
E's.
Boy band.
Yeah, I think we beat this this name thing. We can move on.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would be
okay.
happy to reminisce about names forever.
So, I thought, we're coming off names saying we're going into some more fun territory. I thought, let's continue this vibe here. I want to know, you guys can play any other perennial agent besides your own. And this counts for Sergio, too. Who do you play in perennial if you're not playing yourselves?
Oh man.
All right, let's go in like alphabetical order. So
Yeah, start
Aaron
with Aaron.
first.
Sure.
You know, honestly, gotta go with Merit.
Too wild. That's too.
I would love to see it.
Interesting.
Hate to see
Interesting
it.
that you made that
right
I think
choice.
I just like if I had to do someone other than Samael, I just gotta go polar opposite. Yeah, otherwise.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
Oh, I'm honored.
Also, I enjoy kicking my own ass. So
There it is.
Oh frick. I think it'd be Hyde because I think
Oh.
I really want to play. I think I have a whole thing about pilots being like super attractive.
Yes.
And so I'm like,
Why am
she's
I
a
not
pilot.
surprised by that?
You shouldn't be, honestly.
Are you like
It takes a lot of
really
skill.
you really into keys too? Like anybody with a key
That's a
ring?
lot of keys.
Like
Collections.
Captain Marvel and like Poe Dameron. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So like,
All right.
I want to be a pilot. I want to be cool and hot. Plus, Hyde's like a badass, and I like Hyde even though.
Oh,
we
do
have our
you?
issues.
Oh, do you?
Well, I like Hyde. Maybe Tuck doesn't right now.
It's true.
Okay.
Amanda, that's for debrief number 3.
Yeah.
If I had to choose another agent to play, I could not do any justice, but I just think Warp is adorable, and I gotta say, I would never, I couldn't, I'm not gonna deny, I would totally wreck that character or that role. So there's only Zakiya who can do
Hey,
justice to this.
oh no spoilers. Don't worry about it.
But
Hey, I mean, if we're gonna do spoilers, this is the show to do it. So
Yeah.
She wrecked herself.
I mean, if you haven't listened to the whole arc, why would you be watching
I don't
this?
think I'm saying anything bad. I'm just saying I could
No,
not do justice, but Warp is amazing, and if I could, I would be Warp.
Appreciate that.
You know what? I think I'd go. It was really hard for me because I was thinking of it while I was writing the question. And originally I was going to say Warp, but I'm in the same vein as Amanda. I don't think I could knock it out of the park like Zach has been doing. I don't know that I could find the complexity to it. So I definitely dig into Tuck. I think Tuck has a lot of internal struggle that I really resonate with. And I mean, they have so much prior history in the game itself. It'd be so much fun to play with those circumstances, I think.
and the two of you instantly had an interesting relationship. I think Tuck and Merritt just kind of gelled as a good, A to Z between the two of you.
Exactly, and they're so hot and cold so far. I mean, at times they're so easy to work with each other when the heat is on, but as soon as that pressure releases, they realize just how different they are again. And man, it's fucking gone. They're screaming in hotel lobbies,
Love it.
I'd probably be Boomer, just because Boomer has the same energy that I have in terms of like sarcasm and bite. So I'm willing to jump down on that shit. Plus, but the only thing though is that I would take care of my fiance. I would text her.
First of all, okay, I didn't want to say this because we were giving you compliments, but I have some issues with. I mean, we can go about this all day.
Oh man! Oh,
I would have built
Yes.
set up something.
the debrief was really good until Eli and Amanda just started fighting each other over Zoom.
Just roasting each other.
Yeah.
Fictional girlfriends, man.
Asking me to choose which agent I would play is like asking me to choose which of my children I would want to inhabit.
Who is it? Who is it?
It's
Is
it like
You're lying.
I think-
You're lying
See,
if you say you don't have one.
I'm not saying that I don't feel kind of the pull from one more than the other sometimes. I really find everybody so fascinating. I think I have to approach this question with who do I feel like I probably am the most? And I feel like I'm Tuck the most because Merritt would annoy the hell out of me. But Tuck, and I feel like I have Merritt's headspace a lot of times in the way I try to solve problems. But Tuck is the most trying to balance things. And yeah, there's just something about their there's something very Captain America-esque about Tuck. So I really kind of just like that character. But that's just me trying to think of who I feel like I am the closest to as a
who do you
person.
Yeah.
You know what? You're totally right, though, because Tuck is sort of violently against all odds, trying to drag us all back together from either side. Like, that's our median point, I think. And
That's true.
you're right. Merritt has no balance whatsoever. The fucker's tipping over wherever he goes.
Yeah. I think I was going to say Tuck first. But I think it would be really fun to play Samael because I think what you
That makes me scared for you, Zakiya.
The choices that you make, it's like walking into a room and seeing a tiger and thinking, I'm going to stand on the opposite side of the room with the tiger. And that's what most people do. Samuel does not ever do that. And that would be really fun to make that choice to like jump on the tiger every time. I think that would be really cool.
You know, something worth bringing up about Samael and the way Aaron plays him is, you know, handlers in Delta Green often complain about the fact that players are so afraid to touch anything or read anything, or, you know, they don't want to lose their precious sanity. And so it's so refreshing, at least it seems like a lot of the listeners have mentioned, it's very refreshing to have a character who is willing to take the drug and to push the buttons and to touch the crystals.
Jump into
Almost
the
against
Oh
all
my god,
odds.
I remember that. Oh my god. Anxiety with you.
But as we will
love it.
come to get to know Samael in future arcs, I think it's actually very justified.
Oh yeah, I'm psyched to see where
Yeah.
that
I'm
goes
interested.
from.
I mean,
That's a rabbit hole.
that's going to be a huge part of Arc 2 for me, I think, is trying to figure out all of your people's secrets. You know, that I think that's where the whole "let's meet Tuck's wife" thing comes
You're
from.
never,
Is like,
you're never.
Oh,
going
Let's
to
let's
meet my
not get ahead of
wife.
ourselves.
No.
Let's not get ahead of
Let's not
ourselves. Yeah. So I believe, Caleb, you have another
Can you say
question?
it?
I do, but just the idea of getting to know you guys, that's a big part of Arc 2 for me, I think.
yes.
Sergio, on average, what percentage of evidence does perennial casually walk past without discovering? And do you see that percentage changing in Arc 2?
It's not so much that you walk past evidence. It's
Is
that
that we hear it and say nothing and do nothing?
yeah. I mean, look, here's why I really like Delta Green, because Delta Green tells you, the handler, like, look, don't assume your players are professional at anything. They're not FBI agents. They're not trained assassins. They don't always know how to go about doing things. And the game explicitly says, look, if there's a piece of evidence that implies something or that suggests something, just tell them. And so that's kind of how I approached a lot of the evidence. So you guys never you never thought less of something that I thought that you needed to think of it. But I think so often we would finish a session and then all of the realizations would come. Oh, you know what? That was this, and that connected to this. You know, that would always come after the game was over,
Yes.
much to my chagrin. But we will hopefully improve upon that. It's just I get it, because when you guys are in the moment, you're just doing your thing, and it's just there's a lot to absorb. There's a lot of info.
I also like that we always forget all of the epiphanies we've had, like post game. By the next game, we're like, okay, we got all this stuff, we know all these things, and then next game comes, and we're like, fuck if I know.
Immediately. Yeah.
Or we'd like tell each other stuff. We're like, this game, we're gonna be working as a team. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna really bring it all together, and then
not.
fuck all.
Yeah.
I think when we taped the last one, and I remember when we wrapped up and we were just chatting, in the 30 minutes, we were all just saying stuff, and we're like, wait a minute. And we were literally solving it all. And I could see Sergio, I could see your face, and you're like, yeah, they didn't do that. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point for next season. You're like,
I mean, it was especially hard after the historical session because, spoilers, we were all fucking dead. We couldn't do anything about it.
Not at all.
We'd solved all this.
Not at all.
I will say one thing. I mean, there are items in your possession currently that you guys don't fully understand.
Great.
Yeah, cool.
Of course.
Good to hear.
Just
Good to hear.
requires you to sit down and look at it. That's all.
we have to check Samael's pockets.
Can I smoke them?
I was gonna
Hey,
say.
it's you can smoke
No.
anything if you try hard enough.
Try hard enough.
Okay, so Caleb,
Dangerous.
that's all of them?
You got any more?
I have one more, but I'm cool to move on if you guys want to move on.
I'm cool either
What do you
way.
guys think?
Go
Okay.
for it.
Aaron, this one's to you. This will be my last one. I know I had some trepidation when creating a character that I knew would inspire controversy with merit. Were you thinking some of the same when you came to conceptualizing Samael, or was it just balls to the wall? I'm gonna do what I want.
No, I like chaos. I like my job is to cause chaos, and I caused chaos. That was always the plan.
I think it's a real testament to the way you play, Aaron, that like it could have easily tipped the scales to either way, but a huge majority loves Samael and all about the character and want to know more about him. So.
I did not set out to make people like me. I will say that.
I honestly think in any other group with any other game, I think Aaron would be considered that guy. But it just works so well in this group, and I think that we trust each other enough that I'm surprised by the choices sometimes Aaron makes, but we're not caught off guard because I don't know how it's happened, but we've just come to really trust each other in that way. So Aaron is a pleasure to have at the table, and is so much of the first 3 episodes that we're talking about this session are affected by Samael's actions, and it never feels forced. It never feels like he's wasting anybody's time. It always brings about an interesting effect to the story.
I mean, everything that happens in 2 and 3 come from Aaron.
Yeah. I mean, in that moment where I decided to do the contraband search, part of that is because I knew whatever craziness came up on the other side, me and Aaron could sort of manage it in the moment together. And I think that's a huge big ups to Aaron and the way that he plays, because never do I feel like going into those scenes like, oh, we're going to lose the lead or we're going to bury it or whatever. I always feel safe to do fucked up shit with him, which is a testament.
Yeah. I will say I didn't expect that. I didn't expect my bag to get searched. That was not on my my itemized list of agenda items. But
Lips.
All right, so Amanda, you got any questions for us?
Yes. Okay. So I think I actually have 2 from one from Daffy on Instagram. What is something you wish you could tell about your character instead of having to show it?
That's an interesting question.
I'll go first, and you guys can think about it really quick. I wish. Actually, let me go last.
all right. I didn't realize we had that option.
Amanda, that's not a lot of help. In fact, that's worse than just telling us to go first.
All right. I'll do it. I wish that I could like show that Boomer's not always so angry or frustrated, because they're actually very, in my opinion, they're funny. They're driven, but they're more funny and relaxed in their element. Right. Having said that, certain people stress them the F out and don't get shit together or act like security when they're supposed to act like security and have the computer tech go and do the murder. But
you said you wanted to do that.
You volunteered.
Hey,
no.
you got out of the car.
Yeah, that was all your choice, bro.
You didn't have to get out of the car.
You know what, Boomer? I agree.
Hey, Boomer. Where was Stevenson standing at the cabin?
Ooh, you know
Wait,
what, Eli? I agree.
Some bad shit.
It'll be 5 years from now, and I'll still always bring that up, just to
So also
Eli
still call you out.
So Boomer's kind of like one of those people that are like really cool, but you're just catching them like on the worst day ever of their life.
It's kind of like that, because it's like they want to go home. They don't want to deal with this, and I do. There's a piece of backstory that I think, because we have a one-shot that we did way back when, that actually ties Boomer. So it's actually, Boomer has probably not the best viewpoint of the program because of how it affects them personally. So that's where that bias kind of comes in. So
Who's next?
Someone
Allegra?
else?
Oh, fucking. I wish I could tell that Tuck, like, I feel like Tuck really wants to be like a part of the chaos and wants to like be a more active, like, I want to actively go after things, I want to actively do things, but I think they feel like they have to keep it all like locked down because there is so much like disparate, like, I guess disparate energy and like energy going off in all directions. Like they feel like they just have to like dome it and keep it all contained to be like, okay, I have to keep this all together because everyone else is going in different directions. But I think like Tuck's got like a little bit of a chaotic streak in her.
And that comes from your backstory as well. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
We'll go into it in more detail, but Tuck is definitely at a point in their life where they are trying to have their cake and eat it too, kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. like trying to keep up with their wife and like just trying to keep everything in order when there's a little like voice in the back of their head that's like, you could just do a thing. You could just go off and like just do it yourself. But like she knows she can't.
Amanda went, Allegra, Aaron?
Oh, shit. I had all that time to think. What is something you wish you could tell about your... I guess it's just that, like, you know, I think Samael has... I think it's probably mostly just a product of, like, the environment he's in, but, like, you see him in one light, when the reality is that Samael, he doesn't just have a split life. He has a triple life going on. That's how convoluted of a life that he leads. I mean, one part of him is this weird secret agent researcher guy. One part of him is like a model like Jesuit priest. The other part of him is, you know, this after dark drug huffing, party going kind of guy. And I think that, you know, like the predominant part of his life is definitely more of like I'm fundamentally a good person that, you know, does work to try to help people and build them up. He does generally, you know, care about people and trying to make their lives better. I think in kind of the more, you know, Delta Green program, kind of the more underground part of his life, you don't get to see a lot of that. You get more of kind of like the, you know, like it's easy to see him in that sense and think, okay, this guy's just an asshole. And I wish that I could find a way of kind of projecting that other part of him in better.
What I love about him is he takes the doctrine of, you know, you slap me on my cheek and I'll turn the other one, and it disarms the other agents. You know, it's hard to stay mad too long with Samael because he's willing to let you kill him if you want to, you know.
Yeah, and he almost did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who next? Eli?
Don't give me those eyes, Amanda. You know.
I had to think which time. There was
in the tank, I think he's talking about, right?
Could be. Who's to say?
Could have been in the tank. Could have been in the airplane. Yeah. Who knows?
Oh yeah, I get. Oh, that's true.
Oh.
See, there's so many moments. It's hard to pick. Or
But I love that
sacrificial
though,
priest.
that there's so many like moments that could have like come across, and it
Yeah.
just like we don't get to see it because it's not like the realm he's living in right now. I think it's cool.
No, yeah. There's so much I think about all of us that we've gone through to layer behind the things that we're saying and doing that I don't think is present in a lot of tables, and it's the huge enjoyment for me when I sit down is like trying to figure out what Aaron is doing behind what he's doing to us. You know what I mean? And
that goes for all the characters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's blanketed completely. And I can't wait for, you know, down the line, if we live, getting to see that payoff and knowing, you know, well, now I can trace back every decision we've all made.
Yeah, that's good.
Eli?
Caleb, what about you?
Fuck. I think one thing I would want to show about Hyde would be more of like her shitty side, because Hyde's got a lot of shit. Hyde, like, I feel like Hyde's been really restrained through this whole first arc and been trying to like dodge bullets or like help out, but like there's residual things on the back end none of you guys know yet that you will find out soon, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Hyde's got as many skeletons as the rest of us easy. And
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
If anyone, Merritt has the biggest closet of skeletons. Okay.
Maybe fashion wardrobe.
Merritt is
No.
extremely
This is
surface level, I promise you.
Bruh, you got a child somewhere. That's
It will
there's
shock
just
you.
something off.
Shock you how surface level Merritt is, I promise.
Oof.
Give it time. You'll see he's just as fucked up on the outside as the inside.
Caleb, what about you?
For me, I think it is that Merritt does not have any ill will towards Perennial whatsoever. And in fact, it's hard to see, but from the get-go, my idea was that this is a person who loves the people he's around, but has no idea how to show it. I mean, what I'd like to, tell and show is that Merritt's like a puppy, dude. He hasn't been house trained. He doesn't know how to where to put his energy, and he's been taught the wrong things, and so he does the wrong things. And he socially just has no idea how to tell the people he cares about that he cares about them. And so it comes way less from a point of, I'm here to manage you. I'm here because you're an idiot. I'm here because you're incompetent. Way more of, I've been told this is the way you're supposed to act in life. And so like a robot, I'm going to act that way, which I think is a lot of what we've been saying here is like, we want to tell about the trauma, but it's a hard thing to, push outwards.
Zakiya?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of the same, Caleb, what you said is that there's a lot of new things that Warp is experiencing, and she wants to like feel all of those emotions. Like she's probably showing maybe like 10 to 15% of all of the emotions that she can. And like, I'm excited to show more on both sides. Yeah. Like there's a lot that she can celebrate, but I also like, as far as negative emotions go, it's mostly just been fear, but like rage, huh? So I think that's one thing that I wish I could show more.
You know what? That's one thing I've been thinking about, Zach, is like a big reason why we all sort of swarm around Warp is that so far there's no negative association. Like the rest of us all have something to gripe on the other for doing, and so far Warp has been the person we've been protecting from that outside source, because so far she's just been the source of positivity, right? So that's what I was thinking too, is like what happens in Arc 2 when that snaps, because obviously we're going to see some tension, and everyone gets a view at what people are like when they're actually feeling something and breaking down, and we can't simplify them to one feeling. I think that'll be really interesting to explore.
Yeah, the Perennial agents really haven't lost that much sanity comparatively. I don't think anyone's people have reached their breaking point, but no one's gone temporarily insane, I don't think.
I mean, Warp came in with not a lot left.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gone temporarily insane yet.
She's got about a quarter worth.
Yeah. That was a huge moment to find out coming out of it, and you casually dropping it to us.
That was big.
Like I had no idea you were that close. It was crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't going to tell you till Sergio asked at the end.
Oh.
I'm just going to find out.
Amanda, you got any other questions?
I do. I believe this is more towards you, Sergio, but I'm sure everyone else can elaborate. Can you elaborate on the concept behind the campaign, and why do the historical scenarios, sorry, I read that wrong, and what excited the players most about the historical scenarios?
Okay, I'll start, but I think everybody can definitely be involved in this question.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all, I basically pitched the idea to you guys, and you all, agreed to do it, and all had your own reasons as to why I think you found it interesting. So when the pandemic started, I picked up Delta Green. I started listening to podcasts like Black Project Gaming and stuff, and I just kind of fell in love with the system. I liked how simple it was. It was a simpler version of Call of Cthulhu, but it was super lethal and very evocative. Like I started reading the scenarios, and I was just stunned at how well written they were. And there was, as I started to read the Handler's Guide, I realized there's so much lore. And what's cool specifically about the lore is that the lore came about from the creators of the game playing the game. They would write scenarios, they would, write short stories and fiction, and this incredibly deep and almost century-long lore of this group called Delta Green kind of came about, and I really liked that about it. And I wanted to do a game, since we were going to be streaming, since we were going to be doing a podcast, I wanted to do something that was like, that would narratively kind of grab you, and obviously as players, like finding things out, finding clues, finding out the dirty history of the group that you work for, I just thought was really evocative. And when I thought of that idea, and I thought in conjunction with it of kind of whenever possible fitting in historical scenarios. Something about that made me. I knew immediately that you guys were going to like that. You were going to like the aspect of playing different characters, etc., and just kind of the chance to show more about Delta Green that you don't often get a chance to see. That was at least my reasoning behind trying to do it.
It was super cool when you pitched it to us, just like the concept of like, and then 1 week you're just gonna be someone else.
Yeah.
And that, like, I feel like that never happens in games unless your PC's dead. You stay like a consistent one singular person, and that's really fun too. But like the fact that you were like, yeah, and then 1 week you're gonna be someone from the 1980s for like 3 weeks, and then you'll come back and be, Agent Warp or whatever.
Especially in stuff, in shows like this. I mean, there's not. To my knowledge, there aren't really any others where you have people switching characters up as much as we are.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think that's probably one of the things that's going to be more of. That's something that I think is going to define us going forward. Is that, like, unlike some of the other platforms out there that do similar things, they have one character that they run with for years and years and years, and we're switching every few weeks.
Yeah.
It's also kind of nice because we get to come back to like a single home base. Like our perennial characters.
I could really get the sense that you guys enjoyed coming back to the perennial agents after being away from them, because so much had happened in just 4 episodes.
Yeah.
That's
one thing. Is like it's not a time travel show. Only for us it's time travel. And it what makes it terrifying is, like, in time travel media, there's like the understanding that if you fuck with the timeline too much, there will be consequences for it later. We've eliminated the possibility of all of our players ever acknowledging that. So they just fuck with the timeline ceaselessly.
Yeah.
And it's so good and so fun.
And you know what? I think it solves a lot of the issues that comes with playing games like Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green long term, because you do see character death and tragedy and trauma and retiring someone a lot. And so these historical scenarios give us a chance to let our main show prosper for a little bit longer in their uncovering these people who were lost to time. And I think the biggest thing for me is, when you came to me and you pitched those 3 concepts of what we might do for the Delta Green campaign, this one hit me immediately because, well, it was exploring a part of the lore I had never heard of when it came to Delta Green, the stuff that was lost to time. And it was melding the sort of what Call of Cthulhu does and what Delta Green does, and allowing us to write our own lore, our own history for the people that we're actually playing. And that was super interesting to think that, something Oliver could do could change the way that Merritt acts, 40 years later. It's always super cool to think of the possibilities of how you're going to affect your own game that way.
That was kind of an unexpected consequence of the historical scenarios. Is your perennial agents very much reflected on what happened and what you could learn, and I wasn't really thinking that that's something you guys would gain from it. I thought the perennial agents would be so focused on the details of the case or whatever. It was refreshing to see you also kind of taken aback, especially with what had happened to perennial up to that point.
Yeah.
I also like
absolutely.
that we can like, what was I saying? Like the idea that I can have like Rose knowledge in the back of my head, and it just sits there, and like maybe Tuck knows it, maybe Tuck doesn't, but like I still know it. So I think that's like a really like stressful but fun like extra knowledge to have back there. Like Rose would know this, would Tuck? And then I have to think about like, okay, would she have read this? Would she have like found this? Nope, Tuck doesn't know it. Great. It's just useless knowledge for me.
There's also that like brand new perspective to characters that we once knew intimately. Like Fluke was the bane of Oliver's existence, and now for Merritt, it's this what not to do, what not to become guide. And
that was really interesting.
Yeah, and so we've become like legends to ourselves in our own rights, and that's just exceptional to consider going forward in Arc 2. How is the stuff we did yesterday going to change what we do tomorrow? Yeah.
What else, Amanda?
That's it for the questions from social media. I have a couple though. So, Okay, I know this was kind of asked to you earlier, Serge, but I'm going to elaborate. Was there a time that we really derailed your plan? Like, just straight up?
I'll be honest with you. I did not begin episode 1 with the plan at all of having a neighbor pull up and witness whatever was going on.
Yeah.
The only reason that happened is because I'm sitting there listening to you guys, dragging this rotting corpse and laying gasoline down, and you literally just unloaded like 2 clips into this body, and I'm just thinking, there's no way somebody doesn't just pull up and check and see what the hell's going on. And that, of course, just took us down a whole, literally like half an episode to kind of get over.
Lasting consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying you derailed us?
There you go.
You derailed your own plan.
I warned you guys. I warned you that mistakes would have consequences, and firing off a bunch of bullets.
Yeah, but like, no,
That's not a part. It doesn't have to be in a game, Sergio. We don't need consequences.
We wouldn't have our listeners, I think, if I was just like, they're fine.
Well, that's the funny thing is I think everything that happened at that trailer sort of defined the group. Like, following that, we all had pretty defined understandings of each other and how we were going to look at Perennial moving forward.
Even I think some of like the most revealing like character pieces that came up were just in the car ride back from that happening.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wasn't planning was for you guys to follow through with murdering the Stevensons. I thought, the guy didn't really see much. He saw the car. He saw some Latin-looking women, as I constantly say that everyone describes the women that he saw. But I don't think I don't think much would have really come of it in the long run if you had just left. But you decided to take him out.
Wait a minute.
I love this news now.
There was another option.
We made it way worse.
I had justified in my mind, what could the guy really say? He probably wouldn't have gotten the license plate.
Nope.
And we just go from 0 to murder.
Yeah.
I love how that's our default response.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think
I feel a little. Hold on, I need to process that. I'm a little kind of like not in.
I was told to protect research and the program at all costs.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Yeah.
Don't start
That's
with me.
that's what Mallory told us at the end of it.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys did the right thing. I'm not an FBI agent. I'm not a professional.
I'm not an FBI agent.
Time out. Hold on. We know for a fact how this game goes. You leave one little thing, because hold on, wasn't there not, I don't know, a dead dog that everyone just walked past? And don't you dare tell me that didn't come back and bite us all in the ass. So how do we not know Marlene would have not just Marlene would have went to that fucking guy, would have murked the whole family. At least in our version, the kids are alive elsewhere.
I like that.
We're the heroes.
We're the heroes.
It's the weirdest justification for our action.
You're right. We did do the right thing, guys. More twice the amount of
Marlene would have killed
orphans.
them. Marlene was right there. She would have murked them all. As far as I'm concerned, at least the 2 kids are in a safe space somewhere else.
Well,
Oh God.
I think
I'm gonna let you believe that. I'm gonna let you believe that there, Boomer.
You know what? You can't judge, Padre. You cannot judge, Padre.
All right, what else, Amanda?
Yes,
We got
okay.
to keep ourselves
We'll
on
get
track.
there. We'll get to the sheep farm.
I have 2 questions, and I'll just wrap it up for everybody, because we're on the theme of murder. Sorry.
I like that. That was good.
Do you think, in all honesty, could your character murder everyone in the group? Could they do that?
No. Absolutely not. No.
I don't think Samael has it in him to kill anybody.
Yes.
That tracks.
I think that's
Yes.
the only one I agree with right there. Like, Hyde could definitely kill all of us. I don't think Merritt.
Just crash the plane.
Merritt would fucking die. I don't even think he could pull, get himself to pull the trigger once. So.
What that? No, I disagree with that statement.
Really?
I think
You think?
I think Merritt will be fully prepared to kill people very soon.
I think he's on the walk.
I think he used to, but he would hesitate, and that hesitation would probably be bad.
That's what I'm saying is I think he would hesitate. I mean, he didn't hesitate with the trailer because he understood the stakes of what happens if we get caught. I mean, he's been coded and coded again of what happens when the program cannot help you, cannot defend you, and what happens to your people. But with you guys, it's different. There's no stakes in killing you unless someone's told them it explicitly has to happen. Even then, I don't know. It's like I said, it's the puppy thing. It all comes down to loyalty with him. I don't know that he could kill you guys unless he, failed a bunch of sanity checks.
We'll get there.
What about you, Zach?
Zakia.
Yes.
I knew it.
All right, moving on.
Probably the first one. Yeah.
Any more, Amanda?
And it's yes for Boomer, by the way.
No, she said
Yeah, Boomer, yes. That's obvious.
Even me?
Actually, okay. Wait. Can I No. If anyone would, Tuck would be the one probably I would let go.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And we're gonna ask the last
That's not the
question.
question. That's your question. You crafted. You can't draw a door out of your own question.
What about all the
Last
times
question.
we had?
Are we talking about the circumstance of could we emotionally bring ourselves to kill all of us, or are we talking emotionally and physically get through all of us?
Oh, I thought it was
I'll
just
say this.
take him out.
Yeah.
I would hesitate with Tuck, but everyone else.
Fucking
I love that.
bullshit,
I love that.
Boomer. Our friendship is
Bitch, it's not
over.
fucking history.
No.
Jot that
But
shit down.
you do actually make her. I'll say this: you guys are really funny to her, especially Samael. Do you think she's
cool.
like this?
Oh, that's
fucking
good.
Samael is good for a laugh. Yeah.
Really funny. This is
all we
actually
got,
for
guys.
Zakia.
All we got
Not
is
too
the
good,
laughter.
obviously.
Zakia, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is Warp's real, honest opinion of everybody?
This just turned into Truth or Dare or some shit right now.
It did.
What do you think?
Oh no.
Do you like anybody in the group?
So I'm like, let me see without. Oh man. Okay, she likes everybody. I'll say that.
What's the opinion? I want individual characters.
I think Boomer and Tuck are super confusing because they have, in her words, humans that frequently contact them, and that seems dangerous. But cool. Also, Tuck stopped Warp from doing something very stupid in the early episodes, so that's helpful. That's
Got you, buddy.
good. Hyde is terrifying, but also I think Warp interprets Hyde's relationship with Keys differently than maybe what it is. I think it's just Hyde really likes Keys. Cool. That's cool of her.
It's not that she likes to drive.
Maybe I'll get her a key.
She likes keys.
Yeah, we'll get you another key.
So Warp just thinks that Hyde has a hyper fixation on keys.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And we'll help because who is this key to talk shit about? Yeah. It's we'll get you a key when we pull over, dude.
You're gonna get Hyde those little commemorative souvenir keychains with the names on them.
You are
Every state we go to, please.
you're gonna get a key mailed to you every year from here on
Nice,
out.
nice.
That's
Oh, that's
adorable.
adored.
Kind of creepy, honestly.
It's great.
Yeah,
I know.
in a different
I'll know
way.
where it comes from.
Yeah. I think Samael is based on 1 through 4, dangerous and confusing. But fine. I think the end of the season is completely different. Merit is the experience. Oh, this is gonna sound mean, but when you know how when you buy frozen food and you bake it and you throw the instructions away, but then you go back because you do not know the instructions. That's the experience of talking to Merit. It's so important, and you she understands that it would be cool of her to ignore him, but also I need those instructions. What? What's the temperature again?
Serves a purpose.
I don't think that's mean at all. I think that is so indicative of their relationship. It's
Yeah.
Because nobody else comes back to the trash to check. God damn it.
Okay, I have one from our good Patreon friend, He Who Wants Jeans. And he asks, this is a question for Aaron. How much of Samael was drawn from personal experience?
Pretty much all of him. I don't do, you know, I'm not like a gun slinging or a drug slinging. I got my characters mixed up for a second. I'm not out here, you know, doing elephant legs of cocaine or anything. But like, but I mean, like, I don't know how much I want to, you know, get into Samuel's backstory because it might come on. I mean, it's probably going to become increasingly relevant down the road because he knows some shit. But I mean, you know, he's like, I think for me, like Samuel was a lot of like, you know, personally, like, you know, I consider myself to be like a Christian person, but you know, I'm trying, you know, like in kind of growing up and, you know, moving past childhood and into adulthood and seeing like the, you know, the way that the world is working right now, you know, there's some serious discrepancies that I have to like consolidate in my head between like what I like see on the news of how, you know, other people who wear that label are behaving versus the way that I was like taught to live and the way that I actively try to live my life. And I think for me, you know, Samael was kind of a way to iron some of that out in a way. Like, you know, okay, like how, you know, like how can I process this discrepancy versus what I'm seeing and what I was told to do and how I try to live my life, as well as just, you know, I mean, I consider myself to be a fairly scientifically minded person. You know, I mean, obviously I went to engineering school, you know, I have a scientific background, but like, I usually think that there's like a rational explanation for things, but at the same time, I mean, I've seen and experienced some things in my life that I just really can't explain on, you know, in logical terms. So that's kind of a convoluted answer, I guess. Maybe a little bit more cryptic than I would have liked. But the short answer is yes. Samael is very much drawn from personal experience.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it kind of just it works so well because you do have kind of experience with the character and I do find something interesting. In a way, Samael's just like that one priest that realized, as long as nobody's looking, I can do what I want. Like, and there's certainly something that as we become adults, we realize, oh yeah, you know, certain drugs aren't that bad. They're actually quite enjoyable, and the pleasures of the flesh are really quite enjoyable. Yeah. And so this you know, a character that holds to the values, but kind of is experimenting with what he views as moral and immoral is very interesting and perfect for Delta Green.
Yeah.
To be clear, I do not do cocaine.
Put that out there.
Just
hold on.
Wait a minute.
Slap a not yet on that, please. It's a long life we're living here, and Mayday lifestyle might get a little crazy in the coming years.
So, Caleb, what you're telling me is the best is yet to come.
Yes. You and I doing coke all of 2021. That's our new goal.
All right, so I have a couple of quick questions, and this first one is in relation to episode 0. So during that first session, I could really tell that everyone had kind of come with their A game. They came ready. But once Caleb started speaking, there seemed to be a little bit of a panic amongst the group. At least I got that in a sense. Could you guys explain what was happening in your mind as Caleb started his introduction?
I was thinking, what the fuck, man? How could you do this to us? We were planning that shit. Now what? Now we gotta sit here and come up with a fucking monologue in like 2 minutes?
Yeah, do you know how long that monologue is?
Did you time it, Eli?
It's like a 5-6 minute monologue, my guy.
Speed build. When you started describing your apartment, I had to rewatch every episode of House Hunters in my brain. Like, I need to build a room very quickly. That was the panic. It's like everything needs to be significant. No, go ahead.
I felt like a kid who wasn't ready for a test, and all of a sudden, It's like pop quiz. I was like, whoa, shit.
Yeah.
We had to plan this? I don't even take notes, guys.
It was so good. So good.
I think
was
it kind of
literally
made everybody
writing.
like, oh shit, everyone's introductions were so great. I mean, especially Aaron's, who it sounds like was mostly improvised, at least
I
on
didn't
the
write
fly.
that shit.
Yeah.
That was pure. That was just terror fueling me. I was purely fueled by terror.
Oh man.
Okay.
I was so damn glad I went before you, Caleb, because I was like, if I had listened to that and then tried to say words, I think my anxiety and my panic would have just been like, you don't know any words. You know no words in English. You can only just babble. And I even babbled during.
Well, I think you can hear, like, I think that's maybe one of the most nervous I've felt. Like, I mean, I performed for most of my life, but then in that moment, I don't know, I felt so raw because I'd never performed playing a tabletop game before. And I think the reason why I wrote so much is I knew that if I didn't sell merit correctly at second one, everybody would fucking hate him. And I mean, part of the glamour is disliking him, but I never wanted people to hate him for the character or you know what I created, but instead hate him for the choices he was making. And so I was sitting there and I was writing out these bullet points of everything I think this crazy Excel sheet of a person would do. And I don't know, it conglomerated and then it became a lot longer than I intended, for sure.
It was fantastic. Like, don't get us wrong. It was fucking great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But it also threw us all into a spiral.
Real fear. Real
I
terror.
think I was the one that went after him.
Yeah.
I think so, because I
pancakes.
remember going, oh fuck, and then I took a piece of paper and I was writing stuff down.
Well, I legitimately, like, I think it's right after I described redoing my apartment twice. You can find a hiccup in my voice because I looked up at the video camera and all of you guys looked terrified. And I thought I fucked up. I thought I had no option.
No.
No.
God, it was the opposite. We were like, come on.
It's like, how did he narratively weave in grout well? Like, what were you supposed to do?
All right, so I have another question, and all of these are kind of from the DM's perspective. What were you all thinking was in the septic tank before you opened it?
Oh,
Ghost.
Nothing good.
you know,
I don't know.
I honestly thought it was his wife because, you know, we got to those his apartment and there was a picture of them together and everything. And as we found out that they hadn't picked up the car, I kept thinking like, well, hey, like this is a man who was unloved. And so there had to be some sort of connection that he had. If he's going away for vacations and everything. By the time that we were aware of the septic tank and they had, you know, found that the sink was unplugged in all those moments, I was like, can't be fucking anything else other than this this poor guy's wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely just went, there's gas, there's a septic tank, and there's crying. And if something's in there that has been surviving that long, light the bitch on fire, let it go. I was like, nothing good, guys.
I was the same exact way. The letter said, do it. We're fucking doing it. Like,
No one saw horror movies. No one saw Evil Dead. Like, get out of here. No one has not seen one fucking horror movie. It was just like, oh, let's go open up.
I think in the next episode, Warp said that she suspected that it might be another green box, right?
yeah.
Did I say that? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was something. Warp probably thought it was important information. We had only experienced one other Delta Green baddie before then, so I thought it was a variation of that, like some sort of ghost. But I think it was like, okay, well, there's shit in there that like files or something. Until the crying started.
I mean, that's a pretty good
Guess, yeah.
guess.
I was uniquely surprised that all of us wanted to go in there. I was like, holy shit.
What?
One motherfucker wanted to
One.
I'm sorry. Some of us
go in there.
Warp and wanted to at least open and talk and all these things. And I was like, fuck, like, guys, we're going to die in session 1? Like, damn.
I watched enough horror films to know not to do that.
Yeah, exactly, Eli. I was sitting there like, I don't even have to
the
play
fuck
this
is this?
game to know not to do this fucking shit.
Well, what if someone was down there? What
No,
if Bowman was the weird one and there was a human down there?
Bye. God bless.
Thank you. No.
Fucking salutes to you, brother. See you on the other side. Like, I'm sorry.
Okay, my last question. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I definitely had flashbacks to when like the first game of Delta Green we played, which was Music from a Darkened Room.
Yeah.
And I because that's where Tuck fucking came from.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh no, like this is I don't want to touch this. I want to just fucking leave it there.
Yeah, it was funny. Your interpretation of what was going on is what peppered the whole scene. You thought for sure there was some kind of invisible entity in there.
Yeah.
All right, my last question is about the sheep farm. Obviously, the sheep farm was a big diversion. What were you guys suspecting as players was happening in that scene? Did you literally just think it was a quick diversion? Did you suspect something unnatural might happen?
I was curious to why Warp wanted to go there so badly. That was the one thing. It's just like, this is a side tangent. We need, like, the law is after us. There are things happening, and we need to go to this farm. Like, why? What's so important?
The sheep.
Well, we learned it was the wolf.
I really would have enjoyed that if there was a supernatural component to the sheep.
That would have been wild.
Oh, really? What? You didn't think Samael had enough over there?
I mean, if he could have had, if Samael could have had that happen, and then also he gets to excise something, I mean, like, that's a win-win situation for him that day.
She excised something from you. So anyway, Caleb, what did you?
But thank you.
Did you think of something?
Pain.
Gets it.
Well, when you initially gave it to us, I thought it was like you and Zakia getting together to give us like a breathing point, like, you know, a crack of the spine to move away and sort of, because we had just seen such heady stuff. And I was starting to realize, like, hey, we've been through so much and none of us like each other at all. And so you gave this idea and I was like, okay, so this is maybe where we can develop some character. We can fall in love with each other a little bit and sort of find an answer as to how we're going to operate as a team. Little did I know he cleverly plays blowjob trap, and I've been through a few, so I should have known.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head that was my intention as the handler. Was they've gone through something so grim. I can't just have another bunch of episodes where they're just kind of wallowing in this. I had to kind of break it up a little bit, so it was completely railroaded. But I think it helped, like you said, kind of bring everybody together in a way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it was our first little baby step to actually speaking to each other and trying to find an answer, which I hope we have more sheep farms in the future, even if it means I have to look away from what Samael is doing. Just because.
All right. So we're going to pass it off to Eli. Eli, what is your question?
Cool. My first question is for those who were involved with Marlene and her predictions.
Oh.
What was your first initial impression of that? And now that you have that information of those other people, what do you have any plans to use that in a certain way, or what?
Bold of you to assume I remember.
Do you guys need a refresher? Because I
Yes,
have
please.
my
No fucking.
So,
this is the first time that anyone will get to see the Merit Notebook. You gotta hold that shit up.
Unfortunately, these are out of character, so you won't be able to, see Merit's actual thoughts on them. It comes with a little calculator.
That's how you do all the budgeting of the.
Literally, when we
budget.
budgeted, I used the fucking in.
I hate it.
So, Blake was called a charlatan.
Of course.
Haley was warned of the things that follow. Kona was worried about the thing they killed in the desert. And then Gaz, I think it's Gaz. I'm sorry. How?
It's Gaze.
Gaze, sorry. The oracle that never aged.
Yeah,
That's what I got.
That was deep. When she said, "Haley, I know the names of the things you took in the night," I was like, it was just blue screen. I was like, nope, no, I can't handle this. So Tuck certainly can't handle this. So we're just not gonna think about it right now.
Yes.
But then like hearing like you three also, I was like, okay, like especially with Hyde now after everything that I've done, I think that's gonna be maybe something Tuck tries to like, hey, like maybe find some common ground with. But no, when that happened, I think I stopped breathing.
Yes. Yeah, that was back when I was still recording in a closet, and I had never been more frustrated that I was in a closet and I couldn't like run away. And I went last in that list, and it didn't help. Equally just as scared and frightened. But at the same time, also Warp is waiting to talk about that.
We have never brought it up. Like,
Never brought it up. Well, I wanted to bring it up. That was one of my intentions, especially with the way that Samel was acting and behaving after that when we went to the green box. I was hoping to use that as a way to maybe have him settle the fuck down a little bit, but it never ever ended up panning out in the way because Merritt did his drug inspection, and I was just like,
kept
well,
fucking like ramping it up. We went from this moment to killing a man and his wife to then having one of us take supernatural drugs, like because of an illegal contraband search.
Go.
But I wanted to like pull Sabel aside, and be like, yo, Blake, let's settle the fuck down a little bit.
Circle up, Blake.
I also wanted to Google, like, Samuel was the peak of my interest out of all of that, so I was like, I need to get to a point where I can like actually Google him, because I really don't think Samuel's a priest. It's the one thing that I will keep even into Arc 2. I really don't think.
That's a pretty elaborate ruse.
Yeah, because I mean, you and me slept in his church in the basement.
He just broke you into a church.
But I'm still like standing in that basement looking back and forth like, he's not
There's
a
no
priest.
way.
On one hand, it was so satisfying to see how you guys were freaking out over it, but it was also very frustrating because I knew at least half of you wanted to like interact with this fact, but it, you know, the
So
thing
bad.
just moved in a different direction, and she died quickly. So
Oh, I didn't
you
want to
said
interact
that.
with it. I popped caps in her. It's like,
That was why I didn't. That was exactly why I didn't shoot her, because I was like, she knows
Yeah.
things about my backstory that I don't fucking know.
I was-
This might overhaul like everything.
Yeah.
Like it might override everything. And I think Tuck might, like, if things had gone differently, Tuck might have like made a bad choice.
yeah, I appreciated that Tuck hesitated because it made sense.
I'm still real upset about it. It's fine.
Oh,
I was like, man, they're gonna.
what is it? Do you want to say what is it?
What is it?
No.
No, I don't want to say.
Come on, like you
on.
want to say it? Go
Gonna
ahead.
bring
Say
up
it.
the backstory right now?
Absolutely, I don't. But there are. I'm personally drawing lines from things that we've seen to things that I know, and I think it'll come to fruition at some point. I'm not going to say it right now, though.
Okay.
What's another one, Eli?
Let's see. I want to talk about your guys' bonds.
Ooh.
Bonds are important. What is the one bond that you guys have on your list that is the thing that tethers your character?
Oh,
Do you really want me to answer that question?
Yes.
Yes.
daughter, right? It has to be. I hope.
Oh, it's somebody else.
It's the strip club.
Throw the whole man away.
Sergio's gone. Sergio's like, fuck it. No.
Instead, it's so defeated. Yeah.
Jesus.
I think Ruth was probably the first one that I started blowing away when it came like
did.
time to start projecting insanity. And I mean, it's just because like I don't have she's not in my life. I'm not supposed to be in hers. That's a disposable bond as far as
My
I'm
friend,
concerned.
if you're
she
wondering,
knows.
that's why she's not in your life, fucker.
Yeah.
I mean, also there's the whole I'm a priest thing that's not supposed to
Have kids. Yeah.
yeah.
No. Yes.
Or more specifically, cause the kids to become created.
Yes.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that happened after priesthood. Okay.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Amanda?
I don't want to say what I want to
Just
say.
no.
Why?
Say it. Say what you need to say.
I just forgot what the question was.
Who's your on your
Pause,
list?
it hit me. I literally blinked. I was like, what was the
I
question?
was like, Amanda,
It's not up
you're
to
not
me,
going to say the
usually.
strip club too, goddammit.
Soon.
Well,
Oh, God,
actually,
already.
you heard You heard it. It's fiance, and also you heard sister. So those are the two. You're gonna have to pry the third one out of me, but the fiance is the highest one. And ironically, for some reason, like when we were prepping, like you know how we were doing like the rolls and all that, and we can do that. I'm fucking fine. Like literally, I know you're saying I don't call enough, but with the numbers I have in stack, I don't know what those pancakes do, but they got some high points.
There you go. Wait, so Amanda, when you put the character together,
Yes.
did you and Allegra think at all of putting each other as bonds? Was that a consideration?
So, go ahead.
No, you go. I don't know how much you want to keep secret.
I will say this: there is a bond. I do have a bond with Tuck on my sheet.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have because the like.
So guys, take a note. If we kill one of them, the other one will go insane.
Noted.
Future
I will,
notes.
how much do we want to say? Like,
I mean, it's already been kind
There's a
of-
question we'll eventually ask
Yeah.
that is specifically about your relationship and your past.
Yeah, there's a question from C Miller on Instagram of have Tuck and Boomer
you.
kissed.
No, because we're the two gays doesn't mean we
It
kiss.
says here, have they kissed?
Did they get their kisses in?
did they get their kisses in?
Do they have a
other
kiss
people?
score
Absolutely.
of 14?
All right, Eli. Next question.
Well, did everybody answer the
Oh
question?
no.
Gratitude, easy. The person she wrote the first recap to. That's like top, and her therapist now, but gratitude.
Gratitude. Okay.
Yeah, hang on to that therapist, please.
So important. So important.
Caleb?
Yeah, I gotta go with what Warp was saying. That the first person that Merritt recorded home to Miranda is really important to him.
I need to know what who Miranda is to you.
Is that the next question?
We
No,
were
that's not the-
buddies
that's
in
not the-
college. That's it. No, nothing else.
I think for Hyde, it would be Pops. Pops is the only
Yeah.
thing that
Oh.
matters to her.
I love Pops. Pops was so great. Oh my god, just the introduction and everything.
I literally
Set
just played my
everything up.
dad for Pops. I just pretended I was my dad, and that's how we did Pops.
So cute.
Hell yeah.
Tux is her wife, obviously.
Is that
Maybe-
everybody?
Tux is her
I
wife.
believe so.
I think I will let.
Okay, and then the
Tuck
last
answer.
question I had was specifically for Merritt, and your little notes.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your first impression notes of everybody in the meeting we had with Mallory
God.
at the top.
Oh yeah.
I'm dying to know.
Spill that tea.
Okay. The first one I have is Samael is hard to read and drinks too much. I think he may be a danger to the program.
Correct. So far.
An Irish breakfast, immediate flight risk with 3 underlines. I then tied Boomer to that belief. Boomer may be one to watch. Boomer is the same. Hyde thinks just like me, on time, trying to accomplish things. Tuck may be an immediate leadership material, one to watch out for.
Oh.
Why? Because you feel threatened?
Yes.
yes.
I will threaten
Yeah,
you.
it was definitely an immediate, like, Tuck is a possibility of being better than him. Immediately
Fuck yeah,
how
I am.
wrote that.
That was great.
Needless. Pay you a compliment and you shit on me. Ridiculous. And then for Warp, I wrote down needs further investigation, a psych evaluation immediately, possible spectrum.
Yes.
You got that?
Yes to
I have.
everything.
And then Agent Mallory, competent handler, quick with information, should communicate with often.
Snitch. Should snitch
Thank you.
more
Yes.
often.
Narc to mom.
Try to snitch every day.
Ass kisser.
Please try to remember that this was before he killed an innocent man for all of you and then his wife.
Oh,
Things have changed. Things have changed.
it made you double
Things have
down.
changed. Yeah, he now hates all of you even more. No, things have definitely changed. I actually have revised notes that I've kept on case for the rest of you. I wrote them, I think, the second session we had in the airplane after coming back from the historical scenario. So those are in there too. But those were the immediate first thoughts.
Anything else
that
you like?
you were all basket cases.
That is it.
All right, Aaron, what you got for us?
So,
Oh God.
so hold on. It's the scripted one first. You got a minute.
Okay.
So Megan, hi Megan, from Instagram has asked, how did all of us meet each other? Have you known each other for a while, or are you new friends thanks to this? Okay, and that's there's actually two from Instagram, but we'll start with that one. And I'm glad I'm asking it so that I don't inadvertently answer.
Yeah, well, the simple answer is it's the latter. We are relatively new to each other in the sense that we all kind of met right before the pandemic, and we met Eli shortly after that. But yeah, we haven't known each other very long, but I think that's what kind of struck me so much was how we all immediately very much gelled. And I've always theorized it's because we all came at this project with very similar goals in mind. Obviously, we all wanted to make a podcast, but I think everybody was in the same headspace. And that's what we managed to accomplish so much, during the pandemic, recording and kind of doing all the post and all of the promotional stuff. We all really gave it 100%, and we're very lucky that we all came at it with that.
I mean, also in addition to that, we got really lucky in that. I mean, we really hit the jackpot in that we all have perfectly complementary personalities.
That's true.
Yeah, totally.
Amen to that.
I was thinking about like when
We all work.
Oh, go ahead, Caleb.
Go ahead, you got it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when we all met at Geeky Teas for that other thing. I mean, I think Eli was the only one that wasn't there, and Aaron was helping run things. But
that was the only one that met Eli before that.
Yeah, at some point though, Amanda, Zakiya, Caleb, Serge, and I were all involved, like in the same conversation, and that was super cool. And like we all kind of like spoke well with each other, even though we hadn't really interacted before, like didn't know who the other people were. So that was really cool. And then like to find out that like we were all the ones that were working together, it was like, okay, all right, this is gonna.
I'm actually really sorry I missed out on that.
Yeah,
I really think it was a Star Wars conversation because I remember
it was towards the end. So it started out, we were all out in that little section of Geeky Teas that's the sort of selling area, and we were talking about our first memories with tabletop. But then Amanda joined the conversation. We started, I think we were shitting on the prequels or something like that.
Oh yeah, that would have done it.
And then Amanda started talking about Obi-Wan at one point. Like it all just sort of came together. I think it was like a perfect storm of not only did we work really well with each other socially, like I think me and Sergio were sitting down at a table as soon as we got out of the first audition, and we stayed that way until Leg came in, and then Zakiya and Amanda, and we had this big group. But not only did we get each other socially, we got each other so well on a creative level that like it's electric when you get people who create the same way that you do all in the same room. And I think once we had Eli, like every piece of the puzzle fit. Unfortunately we found that some of those puzzle pieces were extra, and we came up with Mayday further down the line. But I mean, it's a miracle that we all found each other. And we're 2 months out from a year of knowing each other.
Right. And like this kind of thing doesn't just like happen to people. And we kind of just had it like drop in our lap.
Exactly.
So we really got.
I mean,
really
we've spent every week together for a full year in 2 months. It's incredible that I have the opportunity to be with you guys that much,
and yet
create with you guys.
We have all never once been in the exact same room at the same time.
So many times.
Amanda and Zakiya are the only ones I have not collected, but I'm getting
I know,
as soon as we all
darling,
get that jab.
You guys are gonna be able to pry me off you. I'm gonna hug you so long.
And then the second question that we have here is from Daffy on Instagram, who asks, how has that the previous discussion, how has that changed or developed over the course of the first arc?
Oh, we tight as fuck.
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit, especially coming off of like the first situation, there was a little bit of I think we were all a little bit timid at first because we didn't really get the chance to, for at least all 7 of us, I didn't really get the chance to know each other through the thing that came before because of some of the deficiencies that were happening there. So I think there was a little bit of timidness of like I don't want to be too much of myself. At least this is how I felt. I don't want to be too much of myself because then they're not going to like me. But now, I think we're all very familiar with who each other.
Well, I mean, I'm shy as fuck. And when I met you guys, I was kind of just dropped into meeting all of you with the exception of Aaron. Aaron was the only person I had met first. So I was just like standing there in a group call, just like, okay, I'll be here. I'll stand here. And then eventually I got a little more comfortable.
Yeah.
Now I can't shut up.
I'm so glad you are more comfortable now because, I mean, your personality joining in with all of us it's been so cool to get to know each one of you on that deeper personal level because you're all just, I mean, some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt, we're closer. It's when you go through something like we've gone through, which is producing a show and producing something that you're actually pretty proud of. I mean, so often a lot of us are in the industry of film and television. So often you're just doing it because it's a job. But this is a creative passion that we all had. And we feel like we've succeeded. We've created a really fun product that we enjoy participating in. And I think that brings us together. It feels like a family. It feels like an enterprise that we're all a part of.
It's like a good unit.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I know I said this, but I just want to put it on the record. As me, brand new to tabletop, I was like probably like the best way to describe it is like imagine Bambi just being born with the super shaky legs walking for the first time.
Because you hadn't played before.
No, and I mean, when I was like seriously like panic sweat, like the first time we were actually going to record, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
I will jump on that too, because we all met at an audition, and I've never been to an audition. I never acted for anybody anywhere. So same, absolutely terrifying.
It was like, but everyone was so gracious and very kind. I was kind of surprised, but I knew that because I remember everyone's personalities, but like I was like, I don't know what the hell this means. What does this whole thing mean? I just remember the most basic questions or the amount of patience and how, like, even mid, like, people would really explain. It's like, oh, okay. And they can handle me after a really intense Star Wars debate. Oh my God, I found my people.
And it was, the other interesting thing for me was, like, I didn't actually, like, participate in that. I was, of the 7 of us, I was just kind of, like, there. Watching and like so there was like for me coming into it when we first started doing Mayday, I was like, okay, well now I actually have to prove myself because I'm the only one that didn't like have to go through that like initial filtering process.
All right, so let's move on, Aaron, and let's keep in mind for anybody that has questions left, let's kind of be conscientious of time so that we don't run too long. But go ahead, Aaron.
All right, Dad. Good. Okay. These shouldn't take very long for me. My first question is for Zakia, and it is, what kind of alien is warp?
That's actually a great question.
So many theories. We've heard so many theories as to who warp is.
Yes.
Conehead.
No, there's a song that Stevie Wonder wrote called Saturn. That kind of alien.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right.
And then my second question is also for Zakia, and it's, when will we get to find out that warp is actually an alien?
That's fair. No one's asked her yet. So.
Oh man, that's
I guess that's true. That's rude of us.
Fail.
Yeah.
We did not bring that up.
Nobody wants the truth. Everyone wants to believe what warp is in their head.
Exactly.
I want
I'm telling you. Arc 2, second 1. That's what we're all doing, like in tandem. Hey, Warp, you an alien? Tell us.
What are you?
Full court press. And then my final question is for Amanda, and it's so when Samael performs your wedding, are you going to be preparing your own vows, or do you want to use the pre-scripted ones?
I guess. It just depends on the situation. Because if it's like the countdown is happening, we're going or rapid fire. But ideally, I would like to make my. I would like.
So
to
you just
write my
tacitly
class.
agreed to that. So that's
Okay.
yeah,
Yep,
that's happening now.
canon now.
Yeah,
It's in writing.
Yay! I just realized that too. So it's just, I literally and
Yes.
that.
And of course, you're going to need people in your court. So if you need people standing next to you during vows, or you know, we're all available.
Hy doesn't wear dresses, but I'll be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody should be there. Should everybody?
Nobody fucking.
Okay.
Samael can perform it.
So how about Zakia? What are your questions?
Oh, cool. Okay. So I have one question from Vince.
Hi, Vince.
Hello, buddy. Hi.
Dance.
He asked
Our
on
boy.
the Discord, for everyone, including Serge, how do we all prep for each session?
Good question.
Yeah.
Don't say anything incriminating, everybody.
So let's just say most of us get very happy, and we get so happy.
So gin and tonic happy.
Oh, can I talk about it?
To actually answer the question in some way, I tend to put my books to my left. I have my dice to my right. I've got an extra little table to kind of put notes and stuff down. And honestly, prepping for a session is an entire week-long process because I'm thinking about what happened last session, and I'm constantly like, making notes and thinking about, what obviously should or might be presented to you guys next. And I'm also always trying to think of, okay, what happens to Tuck specifically? What happens to Samael specifically? Trying to make sure all of you are included in some way in every session so you don't just feel like a background character. That's how I prep.
I have a dumb, long, convoluted.
Honestly, I reread notes. I know that sounds so lame.
Yeah, that's good. That's
but
a good
I have
practice.
to. I think of it like as an improv kind of thing because I'm like, okay, what is the last emotional thing
Yeah.
that would, and that usually because then I'm thinking, what was the very last scene and why? Because I feel like if we're going right into the next one, I got to continue that, and whether that means I forget information that's like in the past or something like that. The point is like, where is Boomer's thought process at that point? So that's maybe that very actory type thing, but I really do look at the notes and try to get myself that way.
I would say for me, I kind of take the day to like just hang out before we're recording because one, I got to set up in my little closet because I record in a closet, but also I'm just introverted as a person, so actually doing a lot of this takes a lot out of me. So it's just me listening to music all day, just me trying to stay in a good headspace and then getting ready to go.
I usually get nice and endorphin happy beforehand. I'll usually go on like a good, 10-mile run before we start.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
But good for you. God bless. God,
Yeah.
good for
I
you.
mean, yeah.
Good for you,
Bless
but
your heart.
Great for you, but disgusting. How dare you? I think for me, it starts with trying to go through Merritt's playlist. A lot of those songs are very personal to me, and I think music has a lot to do with the way that I embody characters. It's something that I did a lot in college and something I still do whenever I perform. After that, it's sort of like a ritual of setting up Merritt's notes, of listening to what I'll do is throughout the week, at least when we're recording Doom to Repeat, I'll record little messages from Merritt to himself about, some of the things that have happened that I didn't get to address in the podcast. And so before I'll play some of those back to me to try and find his voice and, the way he sits and everything. It's just a process of trying to break down the parts of me that are a lot more casual, because for Merritt, it takes me like an hour before I really feel like I'm thinking like him, because his style of thinking is completely different than me. And so it really does take me some time to go through what I've done with him before it'll come out naturally.
Yeah,
I can definitely
also
tell the
listen.
difference too. Just talking to you now and then remembering how, thinking back on how Merritt is portrayed, it's quite stark, the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People actually like me. That's the biggest difference.
Leg, did you go?
What do I do? I have a really dumb, long, convoluted dice ritual where I will pick out the dice that I feel like for the day represent my character and like what we've been going through. And then I'll roll them and I'll take the 5 that roll the best and I'll do it. And I start at the 20s and then I go to the 12s and then the 10s and the percentiles and then the 8s and the 6s and the 4s. And I do that with all of them. And then I put them in the box that Eli made me to give them good energy. And I lock them in my little dice box. And then I leave them there for a few hours. And then 30 minutes before the game, I put in my headphones and I listen to my Tuck playlist, my big long Tuck playlist. And I try to find some songs that like might be kind of more indicative of like where she's at or like where we've been lately. And while I listen to that, I read my notes and I put my dice and I like set my dice out in my tray in a way that's also very ritualistic and convoluted and kind of insane. And then I make myself some tea and then I freak out for about 10 minutes.
Yes.
So wait, so what you're telling us is that the dice that we get from you are the
Those are the
best
good ones?
rolls? Those are the good rolls?
Here's the thing. Tuck's rolls are okay. You guys are thinking about like
That's
different
true.
rolls.
I'm sorry.
Tuck's,
That's true.
My last rolls have
okay.
been rough, and I think it's because Eli's been running the game, or Eli had been running the game, so that like then that's why they like fucked up because they're like, she blessed these dice, she must also curse them. I don't know. That's just
right.
running
It is Eli's fault. You're right.
Lord, interesting.
The dice box is supposed to protect your dice against fate, so I can't control something that fate has in store for you.
Amen.
Honestly, same with most of that. There's a playlist. I have a set of dice dedicated to spontaneous friendship that I play with every week with you guys. And then I have also death dice because we will also be facing that every week.
Yes.
So those two forces are always together.
It's beautiful.
And that's and Beyonce's always there with me, hyping me up.
Yes,
I think
Naturally.
Beyonce and rum is really important to the process.
It's beautiful.
Beyonce and Rome.
What's
Two unofficial members of Perennial, right?
Of Mayday.
The other question I had was based on my experience asking for you guys' character descriptions, which is a delight every single time. But how important is like the articulated appearance of your character to you getting in character?
Well, I really thought when we started, I bought like a priest costume and everything, and I really told myself that I was going to wear it every week when we recorded. But that was just too damn hot. So I'm gonna say not very important.
It got me hyped as hell when I saw that artwork. I think that it's very important, and I think it's important too because we talked very specifically about how we wanted you to depict these characters. These characters are not in some kind of heroic pose. They are standing in front of a police lineup. There's a lot of implication to what we're saying about these characters and who we think they are and what we think their jobs are and their scales of morality and stuff. And so I just thought it was a genius stroke, the way that you drew them.
And they all look so hot.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
Helps that they're all hot.
All of them.
Thank you, yes.
All of them
That is
dime
important.
pieces. It's ridiculous.
I think I mentioned. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go Eli. Go Eli. Go.
Well. I think I mentioned on the Patreon that like for these sets of characters, I didn't even have like face characters attached to it or like an aesthetic attached to it. So I don't think a lot of like what we ended up doing description wise, I think about when I get ready to play Hyde or consider that. I mean, there are a couple aesthetic details more of like the tattoos and stuff that are tied into background stuff. But other than that, I really don't think like visually about Hyde when I'm playing her. Oh, I totally sent in like at least a couple of like, here's some actresses or like sports people. Booyah. Here's some poses too to get the tone across. I was all about like, this is Boomer. This is what I think. Da 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 da. This is Frost. This is what I think.
Were you going through like your Ronda Rousey like Pinterest board?
First of all, y'all were giving me stuff about that red dress until you guys finally found the inspiration. And then what did I see in the Discord? Oh my God, that's so hot. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I know what I was just like, and even Zakiya translated it perfectly. I'm like, that's like certain aspects of that. So I was just like, get the tone. Like the face is one thing, but the attitude of certain
Zakiya
people
nailed it
really
for sure, because like every single character, you everything about them is in that that artistic rendition of them. It really nailed it.
Yeah. You know, for me, as a creator, and this is something my students give me a hard time about, this is something directors gave me a hard time about in college, I have a really hard time with killing my darlings. And when I have an idea about something, it has to be true to what's in my head for it to ring true. And sometimes I can get petulant if it's not. And so I'm sure you can vouch to this, Zach. I send you like fucking pages of what this pasty little white boy should look like, but it's because it matters so much to me in the interpretation that, you know, it comes out the way that I see him. This is all to say that, you know, I want to commend you, Zakiya, because a lot of that breaks away as soon as you send art back, because you have this beautiful way of taking what I already had in mind, improving on it, putting a part of you into it, and then making it a part of the character I never saw before. Like, inherently, parts of Merit changed once I saw the first artwork. When I saw that, I knew that there were partial directions I wanted to change and things I wanted to embody about him. Once I knew him, you know, once I saw him and thought, you know, that's way better than the bullshit I had, I'm going to go with that. And the same with our new adventure, you know, the one that's coming out soon, the same thing. I sat here and I went, you know, why did I care so much about what I thought? Because this is like the perfect amalgamation of everything I was hoping for. And it informs everything that I do. So, I mean, the only reason I play them the way I do is partly because I have that to work off of, for sure.
You guys are in for a real treat for what's coming up and Zakiya's artwork. That's all I'll say.
Incredible.
The thing is, I don't ever feel like I have like a full person in mind, or like I have a full person as in like the inner essence of it, or like, but like the outside's kind of nebulous. I'm like, okay, they kind of look like this and they kind of have this face, but like, eh. And then Zakiya does some fucking witchcraft and just pulls them out of my mind and slaps them on a piece of paper. And she's like, what do you think? And I'm like,
She always nails it.
What?
Oh, yeah.
And then
She's always like, do you have any notes?
Yes.
And I'm always just like, no, fuck you. Fuck.
And I'm always like, what are your notes? Like, does this look okay? And I'm like,
Yeah, Zakiya, who gives the most notes after pressing?
Call him out. You can call him out.
Yes.
Him out.
It is you, Caleb. But it's never, that's the thing. None of you getting notes from all of you is never like, fuck this. And there are fuck this experiences because art school. But each time it's always important. It doesn't feel like a waste of time. Like no one has ever bothered me with their notes or any of the things that they've sent in for their characters. But there's a GIF of the amount of times we had to revisit, and we'll talk about this next time. We had to all of her, and each edit was so significant. And I'm glad we got there.
Fucking mustache. It was the goddamn mustache.
Like, all right. Let's move on. I believe Allegra is our next.
Try to nail 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah.
I am last for questions, so here we go, friends. Our friend Chrissy from Patreon asked, how did you come up with your characters? What was like impetus? Where?
I like that we've saved this to the end of the stream.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I have this. I should have given this to someone else. Oh well.
So, you know, kind of as succinctly as you can, but give us some good details about what was your inspiration for these characters.
Alphabetical again. That'll make it easier.
Well, I kind of already answered that.
Kind of.
That's true.
Anything you didn't really touch upon?
I mean, other than that, like Samael's backstory is based on like a very real experience that I had.
I would say for Hyde, I think session 0 for us was important to figuring out exactly what, in terms of like profession and like some of the backstory stuff, because I had walked into Delta Green not knowing anything, because you guys got to play previously, and then I'm just like sifting through, and then when I was like looking through the jobs and I saw a pilot, I was like, yeah, that would be fucking dope. I'll be a pilot. I'll be somebody's taxi boy. Let's do this. And then it's also like around July, so like what is it? Independence Day was one of my first concept designs for it. I think I said Independence Day and something else. I think Stealth was a movie that I recommended.
You mentioned Stealth.
Both are so high too. Those fucking perfect choices. So high. Oh man.
And then I always intended to have a character who was Polynesian, who came from Hawaii, because that was something that I wanted to do as a character, was to try to tell stories involving Polynesian people that were more in a normal setting than that weren't specific to like history or stuff like that. So that was ultimately what like came up to becoming what Hyde is.
I'll just say quickly, Hyde was my favorite surprise. I didn't know what to expect from Eli. We had played with her a little bit, and we had talked extensively about Hyde and what she was going to do. But Eli it just brought so much interesting stuff to the character, and it was so much fun to watch her reveal this character and end up being very layered and you know, be the boss but not really want that job and yet somehow fall into it. It was really fun. Amanda?
I'm vaguely okay. I would say
Now your character goes back because your character is one of the original. You know, we ran a kind of initial game just to get you guys used to it.
I was gonna say I'll talk about that a little bit because that was one of the first times I was actually doing tabletop for the first time, and one of the advice someone said was, okay, pretend to be like you in a certain scenario. So because that was like, for me, I was just like, I don't know what to like build up on there. And it was like suggested, okay, do something loosely based off of like you. And I think at that point we needed to just get a spot filled in like computers. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll be the computer tech. So that's where honestly, that's where it was. And it was just like certain parts of me, I would say mid-20s Amanda, where it was like sometimes a little too much. I've calmed down some, but like a little too much. And just, I think it was Sergio that gave me the key word, which was impatient. She's very impatient and sometimes can't articulate what is going through her brain like a billion miles an hour. So she can't really say it. So sometimes she gets really frustrated when she doesn't mean to. Everything's just going too fast.
I don't know if I've ever seen a computer specialist portrayed quite like Boomer, and it's so interesting to see Boomer, because also I love the aspect that she just so doesn't want to be there, and it's obviously very natural, kind of came out of obviously Amanda would not want to be in such awful situations, so
I get to be the character that just says, what the fuck are we all doing? I love that. And it allows me to do that. And I will say, just go into an Apple store and you will meet those technicians, and you're just like, I'm like, so some of it was like based off of some people there, but I was just like, yeah, sure. If I was going to be a tech, I would be kind of fun. But then, like, I don't want to be here. This is bad. This is just always bad.
Allegra, you might as well answer next.
Yeah. We were, Tuck kind of came from that same game. And I think I didn't even come up with Tuck. I was like, hey, Serge, I have no idea what I'm doing. Do you want to just throw me a random character?
You kind of said you wanted to be a what's their name from the show Asian?
Oh yeah, I wanted to be Olivia Dunham from Friends.
Yeah. You kind of you had some names.
Well, I've been watching it with my dad again during the pandemic, and I was like, oh god, Olivia's so freaking cool.
Yeah. Wow, that's perfect.
Yeah. And then Sergio just kind of like threw me all the stats, and he was like, okay, like come up with a backstory. And it was for like a one-off game. So of course I went way too hard and put like 8 pages of backstory together for Sergio.
Thank God though, it helped us in the bigger campaign.
Yeah. And so then once that was over and we came back around to playing Delta Green, I was like, can I just play Tuck? Cause I put a lot into her backstory that I was like actually really interested in eventually. So it just kind of came to like, okay, like I want to be a little bit Olivia Dunham, but I also want to like obviously not be like full on Olivia.
And it was fun because we ran a couple of home scenes, you know, suspecting, oh, it's been a couple of years maybe since your last situation, and it really kind of informed what Tuck's headspace was coming into the campaign.
For sure.
And I think it's very important that we note that Boomer and Tuck were the only survivors of that scenario.
Yes.
That's why they came back.
That's right. Yeah. Sergio
They're
was like,
the
you can
only
make new
survivors,
characters, but I
and
think
also
we focus
kind of
on-
why I get sometimes I'm like, why are you doing stupid shit? You know exactly
That's why
what had happened,
Yeah.
and it went south fast.
Yeah.
So that's why I wish I could say like, yeah, she went and murked all those people. If you knew what happened beforehand
Yeah, there's so
and
much
how
that
shit
like,
can go
weird history that we have that's so like
Yeah.
yes.
We will go into more detail in another episode.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Caleb, what about you?
So mine actually, I think, came from that project that we were trying to do before, where I was playing a character that was all heart. And you know, I came into this idea of Delta Green of like, well, I lost that opportunity to play through that idea of being someone who is uniquely just lost to their emotions and everything. And I said, well, how can I retool that in a different direction for Delta Green? And so I wanted to play with this idea of someone who was all heart but fell into the wrong pathway, this privileged sort of, you know, gifted child, you are the best that's ever been sort of avenue. And Merritt came out of that, of being someone who is uniquely governed from not their head, not their heart, not their groin, but their heart, you know. And going through that, you know, I wanted to create someone who was very agent friendly, because I knew that a lot of us playing here were going to be against the project. I thought, you know, I'll try and balance this out and have someone who at least partly agrees with it for the wrong reasons even. And from there I was like, well, how can I take this story I really wanted to tell it in a brand new way that I've never done before? And it took a lot of retraining for my brain, because I just didn't think like he did in the beginning, but eventually it came.
Eli?
Zakia?
Oh, you already answered it, Eli. What about Zakia?
So I used a Tumblr aesthetic generator and got the words formal bug and vintage worm, and that's where Warp started.
Interesting.
That's the best.
It's a great way to
Why
start.
are we only hearing about this now?
That's incredible.
Those
my
things,
God.
and then I just like sort of what Boomer said, and also sort of what Merritt said of like 2 steps over from yourself. So like,
Yeah.
I wanted to see if spinning yarn could be relevant.
So relevant.
It turned out to be way more relevant than I thought.
I learned so much about making
Yeah.
yarn.
It's like something I really enjoy. So that was fun to see. But also, Aaron, you touched on it too, which may be a spoiler. So never mind. Yeah,
You can spoil us something
it's just there's
if it's already come up.
That's true. It did. So there's some interesting religious things that are being sorted out
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
Warp's.
no kidding.
Yeah.
I gathered as much.
Yeah, that, just a little bit.
A little hint, yeah.
Just a little bit.
All right, so that's everybody, huh? Answering that question.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want everyone to pick one song from their Spotify playlist and tell me the significance of it, because I love this shit. This is my favorite thing.
I got you.
So let's go rapid fire.
Fine, I'll go first.
Yeah,
My
go.
song is the last song on my playlist, which is "No One Believes in Moons and Goochers" by Red City Radio.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of my playlists and stuff like that, I look for like tonality, or I'll look for like parts of lyrics that kind of resonates. And the lyric in this one that is important for Hyde, especially for her backstory, is that if it was the last thing I ever recorded, if it's the last thing I ever wrote, let it be known that the intentions was to bring you home. And that's kind of resonates a lot with Hyde and her past and stuff like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Someone?
Who's ready? Who's got it?
Okay.
Where are your songs?
All right. It's like you had like really intense meaning. Mine was like for Boomer, it's Bodak Yellow. Seriously. Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's valid too.
Yeah.
Kodak Yellow. Oh shit.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
No, you're not.
It's the energy. I love
That is it.
That's very
It's
good.
like
Kodak Yellow. Oh, that's
says it
incredible.
all right there. And by the way, that's in her head when she has to like. She's like, nope, don't bitch. Fuck with. That's
Oh,
it.
man.
So, yes.
Yeah, for Merit, it's a song by my favorite band of all times, Future Islands. It's called A Song for Our Grandfathers. And it's explicitly about trying to be better for the people who came before you and did so much more than you, right? And it is so inherently to Merit's character of he's both being forced into this idea of you have to be greater, but in his own warped way, he's realizing that there is a possibility of doing better than the people who came before you, and that's important because we have to leave things better. And there's a great line in there that says, "Don't make them wait. Don't make them wait for you to be great." And I think that's so inherent to what he's trying to accomplish. He's just someone who's trying to do the best he can and is weighted down by this enormous pressure. A beautiful song.
Damn.
For
Aaron?
me, it's probably Aaron Pabst, Agent's Prognosis.
It's not even on your
As you
playlist.
should.
What a plug.
As you
What a
should.
plug.
in all seriousness, I probably ought to go with Logic, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, just because there's this part where it's like, and whether you poor, you deal with your own, or you filled with financial security, everyone deal with their own insecurity. Even the preacher was born with impurity, scared to go out, even with my security. And I think that's probably, I mean, just like there's like the strings going on in the background, and just it's just like a wonderful piece of poetry that I think encapsulates kind of his that just encapsulates Samo very nicely.
Totally.
Yeah. It's Kia.
I'm totally
Can't be
stuck.
everybody.
I'm stuck between like 3 different songs.
Pick one.
Improv.
I
This
know,
is
I
it.
fucking
This is
love
the
it.
one. You gotta pick the one.
Stress. Okay.
Roll a D4.
I think we're gonna go with Laurie Anderson's "Oh Superman." That song is trippy, but it actually is one of the best ways I've heard, like summing up her entire experience, how she deals with information, and I think what it sounds like in her brain a lot of the time. It would be that song. Yes.
And mine,
Like,
oh man, mine's probably Lost in Yesterday by Tame Impala, because like so much of who Tuck is and what Tuck like values and what she's working towards comes from shit that happened 20, 30 years ago. And so it's like, it's just kind of ingrained in her so heavily that she can't even get, like, I don't think if she tried, she could separate herself from the shit that happened to who she is now. Like, it's just so integral, like ground into her, that she's kind of still living in whatever happened back then, even though she's trying to like move forward. Even moving forward is pulling her back. So it's like this like horrible loop.
Cool answers.
And also it just like is also kind of what it sounds like in Tuck's head. Just kind of like trippy and weird and trying to keep it together.
Cool.
Gio, you gotta pick one too.
It's a toss-up between the X-Files theme and the theme for True Detective. I think True Detective theme song is super evocative, and it distills in my head everything that I think of like these depressed people who have seen crazy shit, and there's something allegorical and otherworldly about it. That's probably my, like, when I think of Delta Green, I think of the True Detective theme.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I have a couple more. Aaron, if Samael, would Samael have taken the reverb if Merritt hadn't contraband searched him?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay, I figured.
Probably would have delayed it by like a day tops.
Got another way at least.
Aaron, I cannot tell you how much relief you have brought my life. Oh, I can breathe easy.
Validation?
Yes, I feel
all his
so
fault.
validated.
Yeah.
Oh,
But like in game, it's your fault.
Trust me, I've gotten used to that.
Zakiya, in episode, was it 2? I think it's in 2.
Right.
In episode 2.
Uh-oh.
You're muted.
Oh,
Can't hear
fuck.
you.
God
No,
damn
we
it.
can hear you.
Oh, no, you're there.
No,
You're there.
oh.
You're there. I think they were just talking very.
Was I,
You're
was I
back.
just
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Technology. Zakiya, in episode 2, at the very beginning, so we're like getting ready to go like fuck up the Stevensons, and someone asks, "Are you willing to like kill an innocent person?" And like it might have been someone says yes. I know I say no, and you say depends. What the fuck? Talk about that shit, because I loved that.
That's not so. on her job description with the program, it doesn't say, you know, the person that bodies others. But if someone asked her to, she would. But like, that's not why she's here. But if we pulled up to that house and they're like, Warp, it's your time, she would have been like, shit, it's my time, I guess.
I think it just caught me
Ride
off
or
guard
die.
because like I was not expecting to hear you say that, and then you were like, yeah, it depends. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah. Especially with everything that happens at the septic tank. I had no idea that was coming out of Warp with that. Like the dichotomy of those, it was crazy. Yeah.
There's a lot
Okay.
left to explore about Warp for sure.
Oh man, I'm so excited. All right, this is my last one, and then this will be our last question, actually.
Nice.
For now, Sergio. What were your expectations when we went to Bauman's cabin? Did you think did we do anything you thought we'd do, or did just shit hit the fan immediately?
So that whole episode, I thought, was literally our best session because it just flowed from beginning to end so seamlessly. You guys, looked at the things I needed you to look at the right times, and I loved the way it all came together. Where you go into the cabin, and everybody's kind of looking at these different things. Warp opens the cabinet, is like, that's weird, a sink that goes nowhere, and this evidence just kind of started building, and I just felt the tension starting to build, and then it was going to go one of two. Well, it could go many ways, but one way I thought was that you would just pour gas into the tank and you blow it up and you walk away. And I had mechanics for how much gas do they put? Because if they put too much gas, maybe it causes like an excessive explosion. But we didn't have that. Nope. I was not expecting Samael to jump in. I was certainly rolling with the punches there, but I loved that he didn't fight when she hugged, because I knew that at some point they were going to be dragging him out, and when they do that, that's when she can get out, because that was Marlene's intention. She wanted to get out, and she was at first trying to be sympathetic or as empathetic as possible. She was really crying and trying to make you feel bad for her, and it didn't really work. It kind of worked, but not really, not enough. And so she tried to kind of ramp it up and use the fact that she knows things to get you to keep her to stay alive. And when that didn't work, then she was like, fuck this, I'm going to kill one of them and just try to get out of here. But I just thought it was a great episode from beginning to end.
That's like really comforting, actually, because I was afraid that we'd just like cooked your whole plan from the start, like balls to the wall, like, we're gonna fight a zombie, y'all.
No, I've certainly experienced surprise with you guys, but I don't experience the, oh shit, they're not doing what I want, because that's not how we've kind of set up the game. So I think I'm able to roll with the punches because of the way I kind of structure my notes and stuff like that. So it was a pleasure.
Yay. And I think that's it for now. That's our last question for the evening.
All right, so that's the
super
first
fun.
episode of our debrief. We've got 2 more, which we will be releasing soon. We'll let everybody know when those come out. But thanks for watching our first stream. We can't wait to be doing more of these. We've got other games planned and a whole bunch of other exciting stuff. So stay tuned.
Next Friday, one
That's
shot.
right. It's coming quickly. So thank you. We will be answering any questions that you put in our chat tonight. But thanks for tuning in, guys.
Bye.